It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so here's how to make crepes. I'm going to make crepes today, one of my favorite desserts. And I'm not talking about the savory kind of crepe that some people make. This is the dessert kind, filled with things like chocolate or fruit or ice cream. These are thin pancakes. They can be eaten sweet or savory. They're typically served rolled up with a variety of fillings. There are countless variations of these, and they're very popular in France, but also all over the world. A lot of times, people will buy the mix from the grocery store, but it's easy enough to make yourself and you get better results. The ingredients for this are very simple. You need flour, sugar, eggs, milk, and butter. Now there's other things that you can add into this, like some people will use water instead of milk, or sometimes they'll use cream. And sometimes people will even put alcohol, like Grand Marnier, in the batter, which I think would be delicious. But today, we're going to stick with the basic recipe. You're going to start by measuring out your flour and your sugar into a bowl. This recipe is for 6 crepes, so I'm going to be using 12 ounces of flour and 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. You could probably get away with using less sugar, but I do like my crepes really sweet, so that's why I'm using 3 tablespoons. Then we're going to add in 2 large eggs. Make sure they at room temperature, and then we gonna pour in half a cup of whole milk, and we gonna add in 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. Now this is a lot of butter. Some recipes will call for way less than this, but this is going to make our crepes really rich and flavorful. I recommend using real butter and not margarine. It's worth it. Now before we get going, let's take a look at our tools. We're going to need a blender or a whisk. I recommend a blender because it's easier. If you don't have a blender, then you want to make sure that you really get the lumps out with the whisk. You'll notice that there's still some small lumps in here. That's okay, but you don't want there to be any big ones. We gonna need a frying pan, and you'll notice that I'm using an old one today. It's just a regular non-stick frying pan. Sometimes I will use a non-stick crepe pan. It has a really wide base, but it's not really necessary. And finally, we'll need a rubber spatula and a fork. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by turning on our blender. Once it's on, we gonna go ahead and pour in all of our ingredients, and then we gonna blend this until it's smooth. Now if you're using a whisk, go ahead and add in all your ingredients, and then whisk them together until the lumps are gone. While the blender is running, you'll notice that the batter gets thicker towards the end. That's fine. If you find that it's too thick, you can always add a little bit more milk, maybe another tablespoon or 2. If it's too thin, you can add a little bit more flour, maybe another tablespoon or 2. You just want it to be the consistency where it's pourable, but it's also thick enough that when you lift the pan up after you pour it, it doesn't run off the sides. Once the blender is finished, you want to let it rest for about 15 minutes. This allows the gluten to relax and makes the crepes tender. If you've ever made pancakes before, this is the same idea. You'll often see the recipe say to let the batter rest for 15 minutes. That's why. While the batter is resting, go ahead and get your pan. We're going to heat that up over medium heat. Once the pan is hot, we're going to reduce the heat down to medium-low. Now you might have to adjust your heat depending on your stove. Crepes cook really quickly, so you just want to have medium-low heat. If your stove runs hot, you may want to use slightly lower heat than that. Next, you're going to add about a tablespoon of butter to the pan. We're just going to swirl that around until it coats the bottom. Don't worry if it smokes a little bit. That's okay. And we're just going to continue to coat the bottom until it looks like this. That means that the pan is preheated, and now we can add the batter. To get the batter in the pan, you're going to pour it on top of the pan, and then quickly swirl it around to spread the batter evenly. It should come up the sides a little bit. Now what you don't want to do is overbeat the batter. If you add in too much air, the crepes will be tough. You just want it to be a thin layer. When the edges look like they're starting to set, you can flip it. To flip it, you want to slide the spatula underneath and not move it. Just press upwards and hold it there for a second. That will prevent you from breaking the crepe. And then you can flip it. Cook the other side for about 30 seconds. The total time for cooking these is about 1 minute and 15 seconds, so not too long. And if you're having trouble flipping it, you can always flip it onto a paper towel and then back into the pan. While the crepe dries, you can wipe the pan out with a paper towel and then add another tablespoon of butter. This will prevent the crepes from sticking. Once the crepe is cooked through, you can transfer it to a plate. Here you can see that one, and look at how thin it is. It almost looks translucent. When you're finished with all the crepes, you can roll them up, fill them, and eat them warm. Now I'm going to show you a few different ways to fill these. A simple way to fill them is to just spread some Nutella on top, roll them up, and then eat them like that. You could also add whipped cream or ice cream. Or if you have fresh berries, you could mash those up and add that as a filling. I'm actually going to show you how to make a super quick ice cream filling. We're going to start by adding a cup of heavy cream and half a cup of granulated sugar into a bowl. Using a whisk, we're going to mix this together until stiff peaks form. Once the ice cream is finished, you can transfer it to a piping bag. This will make it really easy to fill the crepes later. Next, grab a spoon and then grab one of your crepes. Add a dollop of ice cream on top. Roll it up, tuck it in, and then you can plate it. As you can see, this is really easy to do. If you want to get fancy, you can make a chocolate sauce. We're going to start by adding a cup of granulated sugar into a pan. Next, add a tablespoon of water. Now we're just going to stir this together over low heat until the sugar dissolves. Once all the sugar has dissolved, we're going to add in 3 ounces of chopped up dark chocolate. You can use milk chocolate or white chocolate. I prefer dark chocolate. This is 70% cacao, and then we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. This will make the sauce really silky. Now we're just going to stir this over low heat until the chocolate is melted. Now you can plate it, and you're finished. This is a really great sauce for dipping. You could also add it on top of your ice cream before you roll it up, or if you like to get really fancy, you could add a scoop of ice cream, roll it up, cut it in half, add the sauce on top, and then put the 2 halves back together. It looks beautiful. These taste great warm, but they can also be served at room temperature. If you plan on making these ahead of time, the best way to do that is to cook them first, then roll them up and freeze them. Once they're frozen, you can put them in a container and then keep them in the freezer. Whenever you're ready to serve, just let them sit at room temperature for about an hour and then fill and enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe. In the next video, I'll be making a crepe cake, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you make these. They are really delicious. Thanks for watching. Bye.